Hello, hello, hello. My name is Scott Stanfield. This is the Modern Longevitarian, and I've almost said this is This My Friday because that's what I called this show for like a month, and I haven't been putting that on anything. It still says This My Friday on the banner down there. And my guest today, Kristen Owsley of the Kristen O Show. Both of us are on the Spirituality Gone Wild network, and thanks to Debbie G for inviting us both to be co-creators on that network. And I want to welcome everybody that's listening here on all the channels that we're on Facebook, LinkedIn, on my profile, and also on YouTube. So, Kristen, welcome to the Modern Longevitarian.
Thank you, Scott. I loved your intro. I loved your videos, and I felt the excitement of a Friday, even though it's a Tuesday. So I kind of liked it. I'm like, yes, Friday.
Well, it's great. Yeah. Well, it's funny, Friday. Right? I worked in the restaurant world for almost 30 years, right? And you would hear every day that you worked that it's my Friday. Today's my Friday. Today's my Friday. It's my Friday, right? And then I started, and I was like, one day, it was probably years ago, I said, I need to have a t-shirt. And I have one, and I've never worn it on air. I need to do it. That actually says, with the same font, same everything, that says, it's my Friday. And it's funny because I grayed out the fry. So now it looks like it's my day, right? And so it's my day, right? Because Fridays are like, we are more likely, 20% more likely to have a heart attack on Monday than any other day of the week. I don't know if you know that or not.
I've heard of that, actually.
Yeah, I've heard of that, right?
On Mondays, woof, I hear you.
Yeah, but Fridays are like the perfect day, right? Because you wake up and there's excitement about tomorrow, right? Because you're going to be off tomorrow. You get work done, but you also like stay up later and go to dinner, and you do all these things that you would never do on a school night. You know, it's like, so that's why Fridays, I think, are really a great day. And, you know, with that. So I tease this show as, what if we started every day with gratitude? And so I wanted you to answer that question for us. What would happen?
Okay. So I'm going to follow off your Friday just for a second.
Okay.
When you wake up on Friday, you're excited, you're calm, you're anticipating the amazing day you have ahead of you. You probably have plans that night. You're friendlier to your coworkers. Maybe that road rage isn't as strong on a Friday. Maybe you're giving a kiss to your loved one. You're a little friendlier with the kids and the dogs and the pets. That's an energy. That's an energy of a Friday. And Sunday has an energy too. Can you feel the different energy on a Sunday than on a Friday and on a Monday? So waking up with gratitude is about, or what it feels like, is carrying that energy into your Monday, and really not starting your Monday unless you're feeling like it's a Friday. And we can bring that energy into our energetic field just by being conscious of that.
Right.
And if we're not feeling quite like it's a Friday, if we're feeling like it's a Monday, we have the Monday blues and we're just like sad and stuff, I recommend, or what I do, what my personal practice is, I'll stay in bed for those extra couple minutes and say, I need to get myself right, I need to get my energy right. And gratitude is a beautiful energy healer if you're feeling a little irritated and cranky. So sitting in bed and saying, you know what, I am so thankful that I have a bed right now. It is so warm and cozy, and I'm snuggling with my blanket, and it's, you know, soft, and maybe it's clean. And even I feel the fan on me, and I'm so thankful to have a fan and thankful to have a home. And, you know, I try not to send my energy into my day, into my future, because when I send my energy into my future, there's a lot of unknowns. What's going to happen here? What's that person going to say? What am I going to do at work? You know, I'm going to, and our bodies are designed to handle exactly what's in front of us right now. They're not designed to handle all of this imaginary future trauma that could happen in your day by your boss or driving to work, or, you know. So every time you feel yourself kind of project your energy into the, you just want to say, oh no, this girl on the show told me not to do that anymore, and pull your energy back into this moment. And it's just feeling what this moment entails. What's the full moments that we're in right now? You know, I can hear you, I can see you, I can smell because I have some incense. I can listen. So I want to really live within this moment. And I can use gratitude as a little stepping stone to make sure I stay in this moment. But that's where the world has some real peace. The entire world is peaceful in this moment, because I can always handle what's happening in this moment. I can't handle 5 minutes ago or all that stuff that happened back there and all that stuff. I can't go there. But I can always stay here. And in here, there's peace. And really, what problems do you have right now? Not 5 minutes ago, not 5 minutes from now, but right now. Right now. We don't have any problems right now. It's just me and you. Honestly, chit-chatting, sharing some energy, talking about some amazing stuff. That's all that's happening right now. And it's beautiful.
We're putting vibrations out in the world, right? Positive vibrations, right?
Absolutely. If we can boil our entire existence down to what we're doing right now, everything will get better, I promise.
Right. You know, that's a great thing. You know, I've been podcasting for almost a year now, and I have two podcasts. One I kind of abandoned, which is the Restaurant General Manager podcast. And I take, if I interview somebody from restaurants, like tomorrow's or Thursday's show is going to be Carrie Luxem. She's like this restaurant rock star and has this consulting company. She has like 70,000 followers on LinkedIn, and just amazing, puts out super cool content. Right. And I'll take that audio and I'll put on that. Right. And then I had the Modern Longevitarian podcast, which I'm doing the same thing. Like this episode will end up on that podcast platform as well. And what happens is, what I realize is that those are just one-on-one conversations that you're having with people, right? Some are scripted, some are not. This one's 100% not scripted, right? I have some ideas where we're going to go with this, because you mentioned in a comment that you were intermittent faster, right? So I may, if we get to that, get to those things. But what happens is, live, people are tuning in to and able to chime in, because we even have some comments coming in, right? This is a one-on-one conversation that people get to sit in on live and either be a spectator of, or actually chime in, ask questions and things like that. So it's pretty cool. Oh, it was, this was probably Debbie. Who are you grateful for to go for this? Good morning, Grata.
Yeah. Right? So I have to say, Debbie is the gratitude coach of our group, I believe. So Debbie's all about the G, gratitude. That's her thing. So, and I love that. I love it. And I use gratitude a lot. Like if I'm ever, which we all get irritated, don't we, at things, but we tend to get irritated when we're too busy and we're worried about the future. So then we get irritated because things are going in the way and it didn't go as expected. And when we have so many expectations and they don't go as planned, we tend to get a little irritated and cranky. And then we tend to shoot that out at anyone within our distance. So the dog comes in the way, it's move out of the way. I don't have time for you. Or the kids are running. Oh, you're too loud. I don't have time for this right now. I'm too busy being cranky and irritated because some expectation that no one knew about wasn't met. And what's dangerous is if we get in a car like that, or we interact with our loved one like that. We wake up and you're just all loving it, having your coffee, but someone bumped their toe, which they didn't expect to do. And all of a sudden it's, forget it. What's that? That coffee, you're always, take the trash out.
Right.
So
well,
we want to feel that and say, oh, wait a minute. Oh my gosh, everything stop. I am irritated right now. I need to stop interacting with life for a moment. I need to use my gratitude training and say, wait, stop. What am I grateful for? I'm grateful that I have a toe that's banged. I'm grateful that I have a Band-Aid. Maybe there's blood everywhere, but I got a mop to clean it up. Right? I get to skip the gym today. I don't know if that's someone's gonna be grateful for that. Some will. Some
will. Right. Some hate it. Yeah.
Skip the gym.
Right.
So don't make a life out of being irritated. So when I'm irritated, I stop. As best that I can. I'm not talking on the phone. I'm not talking to anyone. I'm going to stop because I don't want to spread that irritation and it spreads. So if I'm irritated with you and then I'm cranky with you, now you're headed to work. Now you're cranky to everyone on the road because I was cranky to you. And then you're cutting people off and honking and it spreads. And then everyone's going to work all mean and cranky because I stubbed my toe this morning.
Right.
That's how
crazy. Yeah. When I worked in California, you would interview somebody. I even consulted in California years ago, but when I first moved to Utah, and we do an interview, and the answer wasn't like, "Hey, I want to hire this person because this, and this." It would be like, "Oh, I love that person's energy," and you're like, "I'm from South Carolina. I'm a son of a redneck truck driver and my elementary school lunch lady. We didn't talk about people's energy, right? It wasn't anything for me, and so that was on a path. I want to read something, ironically, from the University of about a study on gratitude from University of Southern California. I went to the original USC, University of South Carolina. So University of South Carolina existed before California was a state. So I just wanted to get that out there. Sorry, side note, right? All right. So there's so many studies, right? And there was one done in 2015 at USC that said one such study looked at how gratitude works on the level of the brain and found that gratitude is not a basic emotion just of getting a reward. Rather, the brain activity in this, and I'm reading from Forbes, by the way, they sum this up. The brain activity in the areas indicate that gratitude is a complex emotion built around social interactions, interpersonal bonding, moral judgment, and empathy. This shows that our brain does not experience the expression of gratitude as just a trivial thank you. Rather, it seems to be an important part of human interactions, which allow us to forge connections.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm going to mention a couple other things. So gratitude's on like my ladder rung. It's on my staircase because we move into this amazing vibrational energy of peace. But all right, we're going to go back to stubbing the toe. I stubbed my toe.
Okay.
Somehow when I'm bleeding on the floor and I stub my toe, or again, something went wrong. It's really, really hard in that energetic storm to feel thankful about anything. And I've been there where I'm just like, I just don't feel thankful about anything. I can't pull this out of anything. So what I put before gratitude's like number 3, is I put acceptance. So I have to first accept that I stubbed my toe. Because the truth is I stubbed my toe. I can't unstub my toe. I can't not bleed. I can't take it back. I can't move the wall. I can do nothing but accept the fact that my toe is stubbed, it's throbbing, and I'm bleeding. That has happened.
Right.
Then I love to add some forgiveness in there because I'm going to forgive the wall. I'm going to forgive the blood. I'm going to forgive the toe. I cannot stand blood on my floor. I'm going to forgive I'm going to forgive me freaking out. I'm going to forgive the fact that I was so, busy thinking about something else that I stubbed my toe. And I'm like, all right, so I've accepted it happens. I've forgiven that it happens. And now I can be grateful. I feel a little better. So it kind of raises your energy up from that anger and irritation, accepting that it's happened, forgiving what I need to. And then I'm really grateful that I even have those tools to do it. I'm grateful that it happened. I'm grateful for the toe. But for those few minutes, we need to get our energy. So it's like a tier of energy. And when we shoot down into the irritation, it goes even lower. So after irritation comes like anger. And after anger comes violence. And after violence, it just keeps going into the bad, like that stuff. So if you set your energetic kind of line there with just, okay, I'm going to stop at irritation. You never really get angry anymore. I don't get angry anymore. For the most part, it's very, very, very rare that I ever feel any type of anger at all. It's just gone. But it's because I set my what is this? I set my line. I set my border. It goes off. The second I'm irritated, I have alarms going off everywhere because the next step is anger, right? And I don't want to go there. And then I just move on. Right.
Well, what you're describing, the way that I understand it is emotional intelligence in a way that, step one is self-awareness, right? So
Yeah.
you're extremely, extremely aware. And I would imagine you haven't had surgery on your brain to remove your amygdala or your emotional part of your brain, because we process everything emotionally, right?
Mhm.
And then you're still experiencing these emotions, but then you not only as you have this heightened sense of self-awareness, but you have all these mechanism of forgiveness, right? And gratitude that has this next level self-regulation, right? So you're regulating your emotions in a way to where you can even say, I rarely get mad anymore, right? And so it's really cool to hear you explain it that way, because I know some people are going, oh, wow, this is a way to do it, where other people may, you know, um, explain it in a different way, right? I love, for me, I'm a guy, and I grew up working with my hands. I love this very mechanical step-by-step process, right? David Bayer has one. He goes, there's only two states of being, right? There's a beautiful state and a suffering state, which match up perfectly with our,
Very correct. There's a
yeah,
fine line between the two. And that's what I mean. Irritation, which is the mildest form of that suffering. Irritation
right,
is the first tier of the
mhm,
suffering.
right,
And gratitude is really the first tier on the other side of that line. It really
wow,
is. And we
wow,
teeter here. What we can teeter here if we're not aware. So this is my highest priority. So it's not my coffee, it's not my job, it's not how I pay my bills, it's not my children, it's not my partners. It's this. What am I putting out there? So nothing else matters. And if I'm in a big old cranky state, I'll cancel my day. I will not answer my phone because I'm not going to interact with the world and spread that, because I will spread it. So I will stop, because that's my highest priority. And I would love to ask other people to consider, doing something similar, to not live in a world of anger, frustration, irritation, expectation, judging, rights and wrongs and shoulds and shouldn'ts. That's on the other side of that line. And when someone should have done something and they didn't, I'm irritated and angry. Well, that's bad. I'm irritated and angry.
mhm, right. Our internet's breaking up a little bit. I don't know exactly. Can you hear me?
Ah, right.
Oh, are you
So
there?
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Hi,
Yeah.
I can hear you.
I'm sure everybody heard you.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sure everybody else heard you,
Because
just
look,
except me.
that light right there. We're on a live show and we just glitched off on the internet. That happens to us all day. We have a pop tire. We're on a live show and the internet glitches. If we're not monitoring that, full panic. Oh my God, anxiety. The world is ending. What are we going to do? That's my sadhana. So that's my spiritual practice. In these moments, that's exactly when I need to check in. How am I doing? Are you okay,
Right.
Kristen? How are you feeling? How are you feeling? And I check right in here. Make sure I'm feeling okay.
Right. My question for you is, on that day that you're I have such a language around emotional intelligence, right? So let's say you're emotionally hijacked, right? And you feel like you need to cancel your day. What do you do to reconnect yourself back to this present moment?
Such a great question. It's so easy, which is so awesome. Okay, well, the first thing that I have to do, I like to trace the root of my irritation and anger. Because usually my root is from someone or something happening that really I judged as bad or wrong, and they didn't meet my personal expectations. That's all inside of me. That has nothing to do with them. They're just living their life. They probably don't even know what they did because they're doing them. But I have all this stuff inside of me. So I like to trace the root back. That helps me. And when you can trace it back to, because that's a judgment that's inside of me, that I judge them as wrong. I judge their behavior as wrong. And now I'm doling out, punishments and expectations that are hurting everyone. So once I find that energy inside of me, that's when I go through the transmutation process of, okay, I'm going to accept this person for who they are. I'm going to accept that I had those expectations inside of me. I'm going to accept that, I dropped my energy low and I got angry. I got upset. I'm crying right now. I'm going to accept that happened. I go through my forgiveness process. Got to forgive myself for the part I played. I'm going to forgive them. And then from there, I'm very grateful that this person's in my life. They've done a lot of amazing things for me, and then I move up from there. So past the gratitude, there is a step above it, which is where we let all of that fade away and just disappear. Okay, past and future is your next step, because after I'm thinking about how grateful I am, I have to be very aware that I don't keep reliving the past. So mine might have rebalanced in that moment, but then in 3 seconds later, I'm back there going, I don't know about all this, right? So I have to get rid of that past. What that means is that person did what they did. They already made that decision. They already made that choice. I already reacted. I might have said something lower vibrational that I wish I could take back, but I can't go back and undo any of that. I can't keep reliving this in my mind. So even if I rebalance, if I keep reliving it, bam. And then your mind goes into the future like, well, what's going to happen now? Because they did this and now we're going to have to fight later. And I have a fight already planned out in my head about what I'm going to say to them. That's all future stuff. Or, you start getting upset about now this happened. What's our relationship going to be like and all of that. So I got to get rid of that. I get rid of that past. I burn that up. I hold no past in my energy, and I hold no future in my energy. I don't hold it in there. So after I'm grateful, gratitude, past and future, from there, when you get rid of all that stuff, you don't have a whole lot left, but a whole lot of awesomeness. So from there, at that moment, I've cleared all that low energy out, and I'm teetering on that line. I'm moving above. I'm bringing my energy up. And at that point, I really master my senses. So to stay in your present moments, what you can smell, what you can see, so what you can hear, what you can listen to, this keeps you grounded in the present moment right now. Because if I'm listening intently and watching, then I'm not thinking about what just happened. I'm not reliving where we're going. I'm not rehashing all this stuff, because I'm just listening to everything. Right. And that, if we can master our senses like we're back in kindergarten, therein lies the peace that we're all seeking. We learned it in kindergarten. We just didn't know it. Yeah. And so then I'll spend my day dwelling in that sense presence, and I'll go walk outside. I'll go watch the water and the flickers. I'll listen to the birds. I'll feel my steps, but I'm sure as heck not thinking, because sometimes when the mind is all cranky, you don't want to be there. So come into the body senses. Give your mind something to focus on versus reliving and rehashing and going all back and replaying something that can never be fixed. And the future is really an illusion. I could go get hit by a car in 3 seconds. So why am I sitting over here stressing about my future?
Right.
This saying.
Yeah. So Joe Dispenza is on record of saying that we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and 95% of those are the same as yesterday. Right. So we end up having these self-fulfilling prophecies. We end up having these repeating patterns and those type of things where, like you did this example you gave, that you got upset, right, with somebody for what the judgment you did. How do you keep from stepping in that same judgment pothole or mud puddle or trap that you stepped in the day before, right? Because we tend to repeat the same thing over and over again, our same routines, our same eating habits, and then we can get into the physical piece, because we can become emotionally hijacked because we lack of sleep or dehydration, or we're hangry because we're, a carb burner and not metabolically flexible, and those type of things. But I just really want you to talk about like how to build momentum in changing these core belief systems that are the underlying driver of us that we don't realize that are driving us.
So what happens a lot is we, as humans, tend to project our energy a lot outside of ourselves. So we are constantly worried about this person, worried about that job, worried about this bill, we're not inside of our bodies. And we're not checking into ourselves, so much so that we're neglecting ourselves a lot. So what I do is I switched all of that, in fact, completely. I no longer project my energy anywhere else. Like, I'm not worried about what you think about me right now, or what anyone else is going to think about me, or is anyone going to watch the show, or how am I going to get followed? I don't have any of those thoughts anymore at all. So I turn the flashlight around. I keep my energy inside, and guess what I say? Like I said before, how are you feeling, Kristen? How are you feeling right now? I'm a little upset about what was said over there. Well, let's address that right now before we just run around and pretend it's not there and get busy and shoot our energy out. And then the next thing you know, I'm yelling at someone because I'm upset at something that happened 2 days ago from someone else, but I didn't address it. I left it in my energetic field. So when I asked myself, how am I feeling today? I clear myself every day. Like, well, I'm a little frustrated that this happened. I'm a little worried about this, paying this bill or whatever. I need to know what's inside of me. I need to know what energy I'm keeping inside of me. And I clean it out like I clean out the garage or something. Like, let me just clean out that dust over there. Let me transmute this energy. Let me not hold this energy. And in the beginning of learning how to do this, man, I had a packed garage full of stuff. I mean, I had so many people that I did not forgive in my life. I had so many expectations and no one was meeting them. Not one single person was meeting my expectations. So I was just kind of like, I don't like anybody, and it didn't serve me. I was one big cranky person, and I started noticing no one wanted to be around me even. And I'm like, finally, when it's like everyone is walking away from me, I had to be like, what is happening right now? So that was when the flashlight got turned around, and I had to clear all that out. And I did. And now if one thing flows in, everything stop. Kristen, what's going on? What's going on right now? Let's clear it out. Okay, you're upset about this. Let's talk about it. And it's always traced back to a judgment or an expectation that I have. It's never really anyone else's actions or behaviors. And, the 4 agreements, I love it because he says, don't take anything personally. And that really is true. No, you're not out there to try to hurt me. You're not out there to try to damage my soul. So these people that might be behaving in a way that you don't expect them to, they're not deliberately trying to break your heart or hurt your soul, or they're not. The dog's not trying. I have a puppy. He's not like, I'm going to pee on the floor to be a jerk to you. He's not, he's just a puppy. So learning not to take things personally and monitoring your energy as if it was the most important thing you could ever do in your life. Forget waking up. Forget brushing your teeth. How are you feeling? Really, right. How are you feeling inside? Right. And then figure that out. Yeah.
Right. Well, you really get into the area where Tony Robbins talks about, what, life doesn't, happen to you, it happens for you. And, or Einstein, the first decision that you have to make is whether you live in a friendly or hostile universe. Right. Yes. And I correlated those one morning. I was waking up, I was in that mid state, between sleep and waking up. And I was like, wait a minute, those quotes are the same thing. They are, because friendly universe is life happening for me, and a hostile universe is life happening to me. Right. And so like for the same thing, it's like, life happens for me or to me. Right. And I love where you're at, because you're really so in tune, right? People can learn so much from this. Right. And you're basically, what you're doing is you're noticing when you dip the toe in this suffering state, and you're like, why am I suffering? Right. Why am I irritated? Why are those things? And you're digging deep and into your core belief system. Right. And really rooting out those weeds. Right. The garden needs weeding sometimes. Right. And,
yes, the garden needs weeding. Yes.
Yes. Doing those things. Right. And I just cleaned the garage a couple of days ago, or 10 days ago, because we had to get ready for winter and put an extra car in there and that type of stuff.
It feels so good, doesn't it? Fresh and clean. And you threw away the stuff that needed to be thrown away. And we don't need to carry around that stuff anymore. We really don't. We need to let it go now. Right. And just get it out of your energy.
And if we don't do this, then another Einstein quote comes into mind, which is, it's insanity to expect different results doing the same thing over and over again. Yes. Right. We can say that, from a physical standpoint, we can say, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds, lose 10 pounds, lose 50 pounds, but you don't change your diet, exercise program, and those things. Right. And you just continue living how you're living, and nothing changes. Right. you have to make some changes, right? But it also comes with, visualization, right? Imagining what you want to be in the future and those type of things.
You know what? It's even better. It's better than that. But yes. So what I learned too is that there are different lenses that go over our eyes. Right. So in our mind, when we're cranky and we're irritated, things just aren't going right. I'm not losing my weight. I'm not doing my blah, blah, blah. That's all I can see through my eyes. Everything, because my energy is plugged into that thought process. So I plugged my whole in. I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. I accepted that. I drank the Kool-Aid. You're right. Things are terrible. And guess what happens? All sorts of terrible things start to happen in your life. But if you clean all that stuff out, it's like you have a filter that get rid of it, let it go, burn it up, give it to me, give it to God, give it to whomever you need to, just get rid of it. And then you can see the world so clearly. And like I think you said, Tony Robbins said, now it's either working for you. So I know right now that the universe loves me, takes care of me. I don't have to worry about anything. I am literally taken care of for every step that I take. That's why I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to worry about what happens tomorrow. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff because the universe takes care of me. And that's my lens that I get to see through. And it's a beautiful lens. And we all have our different lenses. So we want to know what eyes you're seeing the world with.
Yeah. Well, that's what I do, right? I do the coaching that I've had, and this is what I actually coach my clients with, is, when you have these emotions, these negative emotions, suffering emotions, or, if you feel constricted, right? So typically we talk about fear, doubt, and worry, right? So what I do and what I coach my clients to do and what I was coached on is to take all those negative emotions, right? And it shifts your perspective and say, hey, let's have a meeting on Sunday afternoon at 6 p.m. Right? And oh, wow, I'm not good enough. Or I'm not good enough for people to listen to my show. Or, I'm not strong enough to lift this weight. Or I'm worried about, how I'm going to transition from being a restaurant manager for almost 30 years, director of food and beverage, into being the modern longevitarian, right? And all those things. And I put all that stuff at 6 o'clock on Sunday. Now I never meet with that on 6 o'clock is Sunday. I never have a meeting and go over like, oh, let me go over all my fear, my doubt, my worry. Right.
Yes.
Because I remove it. Right. Yes. I'm able then to ask myself this question, which is, what good can come from this?
Absolutely.
And so you can see the good in it. Right.
Yeah. I use pop-up in my brain, like when you're on a website and something pops up and it's like, hey, do you want to sign up for this? And you're like, no, I don't. So when it pops up and it's like, you're not good enough, I'm like, yeah, right. No, thank you. And it's like, why would anyone watch your show? No, thank you. That's not a thought I'm going to subscribe to. And so the moment it comes up, I exit out and it works pending I'm in my vibrational self-awareness. When it doesn't work is when I'm in my future and I'm busy and I got things to do and I got plans so I'm going. I'm living in the time dimension of past and future. That's when these thoughts flow in and I miss them. And now I got spammed in my brain and I got cookies all in my brain and I got lots of things going like, hey, you forgot to think about how horrible you are today and how you're going to feel everything you do. We should talk about this right now. And if I'm tired, my vibrations are low, someone's and I didn't handle that toe, I didn't handle the flat tire, those thoughts can root because I'm tired. And then I plug into the energy and then forget it. Who knows how long I follow down that rabbit trail of nonsense. But the beautiful thing is that happens to everyone. So what we have to be careful of is that it doesn't come in the back door when you realize it and say, well, gosh, you're supposed to be a spiritual teacher and you're out there coaching and look at you, you're a pile of mess in the corner. What's beautiful about it is you can just switch it like this. Okay, never mind, it's done. I exited out. I erased my cookies. I did not subscribe to that, unsubscribe. And it's over. It's over fast. So there's no need to go back and hash it out or figure it out or work it out. Remember, because we're going to burn that past up. So that was in the past. It's over now. It's over. It's done.
That's a great technique. I really like that. Especially, it makes a great analogy to our modern world, right? So let's start getting into do you meditate?
Okay, yes, but here's the thing, and not even a but. I exist in a meditative state.
Okay.
So I'm always meditating. I'm never not meditating. In fact, the moment I'm not meditating, I'm irritated.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm a practitioner of transcendental meditation. I don't know if you know that or not.
No.
I did get my meditation in this morning. I'll do it immediately following the show today to get my first one of 2. And when I interviewed Emily Fitz Randolph of the Transcendental Meditation Center in Santa Monica, which is where I studied this, she said the same thing. She's like, when you get consistent in your meditation practice, this transcendental meditation specifically, that the specific brainwaves you have during meditation carry over out throughout the day. So you actually need to be in a meditative type state throughout the day. And then when you start feeling unplugged, the analogy they use is that your phone can't stay charged all day long. So at some point in mid-afternoon, you got to plug it back in to get back to where you were. And I also see meditation as like, and I use a computer analogy as well, is like, remember when you used to have to run those defrag programs in our older computers, right? To organize them and put all to maximize our disk space. It's like cleaning up or organizing the garage or your or something like a closet or something like that. I see meditation as that. I love the fact that you say that you're meditating all day long, and the minute that you're not, you're irritated. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you got anything else.
That like I clicked out, like what your friend said, like the cell phone battery charger, my plug got plugged in somewhere else. Not a big deal. Just unplug it, plug it in, and tune my little radio frequency, because my radio frequency, it clicked off into its little station off, and I'm right back. So no one has to do anything. You don't have to take over classes. You don't have to spend hours studying. You don't have to be like, well, I feel terrible now. It's going to take me 8 weeks, and I'm going to feel better. It's no, you're good at it. It's now. We want to feel better now.
Right. Exactly. Right. So it's twice a day, and people, if you don't have time to meditate twice a day, then you need to start meditating twice a day, right? And it'll give you more time, right? It just is.
Time is huge. Time is the reason why we become irritated. It's the catalyst. If you find your relationship with time, if I could share anything with anyone, really get into that relationship with time. And
well, we can look at time as like a Newtonian time, where it's like you're looking at the clock, right? Where it's basically, I don't have enough time to work out. I don't have enough time to do this and do this and do that. And you can make up excuses for not enough time.
I don't have enough time to be courteous to someone. I don't have enough time to pet my dog, but really, so I'm just tapping his head and I'm leaving. Right. I don't have enough time. I have found myself being too busy and not have enough time to be considerate with another human.
Right.
Time is huge. Take back your time. Take back your time. That's huge. Mm-hmm.
All right. So
I do want to talk about fasting, because I love it. I'm an avid faster. And I'm coming out with a weight loss program, mindfulness and fasting. Wow.
That's super cool. Yeah. Well, weight loss is just a big piece of the puzzle, right? I mean, we get into fasting, right? Because what I really push, and actually I just want to let one more thing is I'm writing a 100-day longevity primer, right? And it's called the Jammer, right? A jammer is one who jams, right? And on the daily page, and I'm use this myself, right? And I print it out, right? And so there is this whole thing that I use here. You can't really see it, right?
Wow, that's like awesome.
Daily checklist to be like be productive and also be a modern longevitarian, right? So basically you can work through in 100 days, increase whatever 3 pillars you need to really work on of the 8 pillars, right? I'm in these 28-day blocks. But what I really wanted to say is that the question number 1 every day you ask yourself is, what am I grateful for today, right? So it's about starting gratitude. And that's something that, when we started putting this together, Malia and I, that was something where we started, because we just knew that how important gratitude was in starting out in that place. And that's super cool. But yeah, I'm interested in your program you're putting together, but tell me about how you found intermittent fasting and what format do you use?
Right. So so I'm a long-term faster. That's how I've been in the past. But fasting it's really not easy, right? Because we are so addicted to food. So, when we're hungry, we're not like, get me some raw broccoli and let me just chew on that, right? And some carrots, some cucumbers. I mean, mind you, we can get them down. So we're not eating for sustenance. We're not eating for vitamins. We're eating for pleasure because it feels good, because there's, fats and sugars and processed foods that our body's just like, yes, baby, give me more, give me more. So when I'm hungry, I want to eat a pizza and Taco Bell and Dunkin', all of this. This is not food.
Right. Well, yeah, right.
It's not food. Yeah. Food is, it's for, we are born on this planet, and food that is meant for us grows out of the planet. That's what we're meant to be eating. That's the truth of it. Maybe every once in a while we've managed to make a bow and arrow and kill some meat, and that meat sustains us for a month or at some point, right? So we're excessive. We're taking. So what I found is that I was able to vibrate to a certain level, and addictions disappear. So, I'm moving away. The alcohol is just unhealthy for our bodies, and nicotine and all our vices, sugars and fats and cakes, all the stuff that we know we're not supposed to be doing, but we just do it anyway because we're a little irritated, and donuts make us feel better. They just do. I mean, they just do.
Right. Well, it's science, right? There's a dopamine release, right, when we eat food, right? And so that makes us feel better. And sometimes if I get emotionally hijacked, I know that, and if it's in my eating windows, like I may actually go eat something to help, like recenter myself, because I may have fasted too long or something like that, or maybe cycled out of ketosis, or, because I combine intermittent fasting and keto together. And so there's a lot of different things. So you said, so how many, do you do it daily or just a couple times a week? How often do you fast?
So I fast, okay. In the past, I've done it for the most I've fasted. I believe I made it 21 days. I do plan to go on a 40-day fast and categorize it and write it down. But that takes a lot of preparation. So what has to happen is I have to address the addiction of it, the addiction of the food. That has to be addressed first before you go into a really like a long-term fasting situation. Even a short-term fasting situation, you have to address your mindset, because if your energy is low and you're living in that cranky irritation, you will fail at fasting every time. And not only fail, you'll fail hard. You won't just eat one piece of pizza, you'll eat the whole pie. So the mindfulness and your energy has to come first. And then from there, right now I've gone through several 8-day fasts, and then I'll eat clean in the meantime, meaning something that grows out of the earth. So fruits, vegetables, nuts. I do allow myself to have eggs because it's a gift from a chicken. I'm not hurting the chicken as long as it is raised in a healthy environment, meaning sun, dirt, grass, proper feed. Then I'm okay accepting the gift of the food. So I'm really big on where's your food coming from. And if you're going to eat meat, that's okay. But where's your meat coming from? How is the meat being slaughtered? Because if an animal is being fed improperly and being cared for improperly, that energy, you're eating it. You are eating that energy inside. And I didn't know this until I got all weird and guru-y and started feeling the energy, right? And that's when things got really weird. I could feel the fear. It was so weird.
Wow.
But it stopped me from wanting to eat meat anymore. But if the animals are cared for, like in a nice farm with sun, and they're cared for, and when they're led back to the slaughterhouse, it's a very gentle process. It's a beautiful process. We're not creating fear in them. We're honoring their gift to us. It's a beautiful process. There might even be a little head pet before that beautiful woman starts with a P. She taught us how to kill them properly. That doesn't, it's less scary for them. It's about honoring their sacrifice so that we may eat, right? That's kind of a big thing, is what am I putting in my body energetically? And when I go on to a long fast, my body loves it so much that it instantly begins to detoxify. And detoxification is interesting, but you're sweating, and it's interesting because any kind of like smells, I mean, it's a detox. Your tongue gets white, but my body just loves it so much, and it's so used to it at this point that I even can eat a whole pizza on a Friday, like if I wanted to. Because I'm not saying like that's never going to happen. I'm not that person. If I want to, and maybe that gives me that comfort, is that I don't say you're never allowed to do that. If I choose to do that, I can. But then I know that if I've done that, then I do fast for almost a week and allow my body to digest that food and allow my body to detox that food. And everything just runs a whole lot better. I have more energy, and I work out in the gym as well. Now, I don't weight train to the point where I'm building muscle, so I do a lot of weight training. When I'm weight training, then I'll make sure that I'm eating, my proteins, and I'm eating properly for my body to sustain the weight training as well. But I still work out in the gym 5 or 6 days a week. I just sustain the weight versus builds muscle. So right after Thanksgiving, I won't eat any meat probably on Thanksgiving. And then right after Thanksgiving, I'll begin training again. But I was in an unhealthy, energetic environment in my past, not too far. And I did allow myself to just get really out of shape and because I was not healthy in here. And I'm not healthy in here. It's going to manifest in here. This was a sign that I was unhealthy in here, and my environment was unhealthy. So I had to move away from that unhealthy environment. And when I did, honestly, I've lost like 50 pounds, and I didn't even, I wasn't like, I'm going to lose this weight. I just removed myself from an unhealthy situation, and the weight just kind of fell off, and it's still going. And now I'm like, yay, getting excited about it. And I've done it with intermittent fasting and with long-term fasting, and the effects have been amazing. So the fact that it worked, and it worked so beautifully, and it brought me to a really healthy state here, and my body's detoxing, I just want to share the information with others, because people are really struggling to find something that really works. And this worked for me. So I'm going to share the information.
Well, I don't know if you know my story or not. I have been overweight more than twice, but I say that I've lost 40 pounds twice. And I gained it back. Right. And I told the story yesterday why I gained the weight back, which is basically my job changed during the recession, where I was required to work 2 breakfast shifts a day and 2 closing shifts in a different restaurant in the same hotel. And so on my Thursday and Friday, I was going to sleep basically the same time I was getting up, just 4 and 5 days earlier. Right. And so I gained it back. And then as I was turning 40, I said, well, I've been a vegetarian for 10 years, pescatarian. I said, I'm going to have a well visit because it's free. Right. And I'm going to go see how healthy I am. And unbeknownst to me, my scales were off here at home by 20 pounds. Right. And so I showed up at the doctor thinking I weighed $185, which is mildly overweight for my size. Right. Right. I showed up weighing 202, and I was like, what? How can I be a fat vegetarian? Right. And that's impossible to happen. Right. It's just so impossible. And which it wasn't. Right. So if you're a vegetarian or vegan out there and you're overweight, trust me, I've been there, and there's pictures. Oh, wait a minute. Here's a before and after picture. You want to see it? Yeah. See, look at that.
Yeah. I got my photos too. I was shocked. I just stumbled on them yesterday. I was really shocked.
Right.
You don't know. You don't realize. I didn't realize that I had kind of gotten there, and I just saw the pictures, and I was like, I didn't know. There's
about 15 years between those pictures. That was the first time I was overweight. I don't know where the pictures are from 8 years ago when I was 40. But anyway, I was working as a director of food and beverage at a hospital in Salt Lake City, and they had doctors that did gastric bypass surgery there. I wasn't thinking about that, but I did catering events for those doctors, right? For events. And so their doctors, a marketing department would set all that stuff up for me. And so a guy named Matt Shannon, and we just reconnected on LinkedIn recently. He actually said, I was listening to Dr. Belknap the other day, and he said that weight loss is 70% diet and 30% exercise. And what it is, I kept my diet the same, and I started doing P90X again, which is how I'd lost the 40 pounds the first time. Just like I did P90X every day. I just to exhaustion, right? And I was just overworking out to do it.
And you weren't losing the weight, right?
This time I'd lost 10 pounds in about a month or 6 weeks, around that. And I was like, wait a minute, I didn't change my diet, but that's supposed to be the biggest piece of the puzzle here, right? And this is before I put together all these pillars of mindset, breathing, hydration, sleep, and all that stuff. And I basically, I was like, well, somebody had gifted me this book called The Warrior Diet, which was written in 2008, and this was 2012. And it was about doing this 20-hour underfeeding intermittent fast in this 4-hour overfeeding, so where you can just eat in a 4-hour window, which now we call OMAD, or 1 meal a day, right? And so I did that, and I kept the same foods that I ate, but I put them in a 4-hour window, right? And I lost 7 pounds in the first week. So I took me 6 weeks to lose 10 pounds, and in the first week I lost 7 pounds, right?
It's so fun when you learn you can eat those foods. I mean, I don't want to promote people eating those foods, but you can if you adopt intermittent fasting into your life.
Well, that's the starting point, right? Because when I interviewed Russ Yeager last week, and Russ Yeager he works with Grant Cardone, and he actually is a physique transformation expert, won an international competition when he was in his 20s. It's helped tens of thousands of people, transform their bodies, right? And the way he explained it was really cool. He's like, if you understand the macros that it takes and the fasting, because he does a 16-8 intermittent fasting every day. He goes, if you understand those things, you can eat whatever you want inside those macros in that feeding window, and you can be fit, but you won't be healthy, right?
Absolutely.
Then there's people who are healthy, but yet they're unfit. But when you combine the two together is where you really get something. So I love what I've done, a 21-day fast as well, right? I did it a little bit different because I just was like, I'm going to still eat something, right? Because I'm not going to do a full-on water fast. I'm managing restaurants. I got to taste food. I've got to do these type of things, right? So I had an average of 500 calories a day over 21 days. So, right. So but what I had was
worked still for you, right? Did it?
Well, I did, because in the picture I posted in the age challenge on Facebook just a couple days ago. I don't know if you saw that picture or not. That is actually me on like day 20 of that fast. Right.
That's awesome.
And so I wasn't 48 at that. I was like 46 at that picture when that was taken. And that inspired me to start fasting again yesterday, right? Because I'm like, I got to get back to where that was, right? And I'll tell you what I'm doing now if you're interested in that. But my point being is this. What I learned through that 21-day fast is that I could have micro water fast inside the 21-day fast. Okay. So yes. I did 48-hour water fast, and then I would eat some fat because I was in ketosis and keto, and I would have like 500-600 calories. Right. Then and then a couple days later, 2 days later, I did a 72-hour water fast. Right. Started getting a headache. I started getting a headache and stuff. So I broke the fast.
The headaches is when the detox begins to go in a few days.
And by the way, this is not medical advice. We're not telling you to do this. We're just informational purposes only. We're just like, this is what we've done.
We are not nutritionists or doctors. This is just something done. But and the biggest thing, and I want you to continue, but I'm going to throw out Dr. Carl Jung. He's a huge doctor across the nation. He is an intermittent fasting guru and very inspirational. So don't take our word for it. I tell this to everyone. Study, do your research. Don't be blind about it, but come then with an educated conversation because you've done your research, not just you're starving yourself, you're going to die. That's what I hear a lot.
Right. Well, my inspiration for doing the longer fast was Dr. Jason Fung, who wrote the book, The Complete Guide to Fasting. Right. I was listening to all the podcast interviews he was on and listening to his keynote speeches about this. He wrote the obesity code, and he just is coming out with the cancer code and those type of things. And he's a kidney doctor, and he's curing people from type 2 diabetes with water fasting.
Absolutely. And I know this to be true. I know it. I feel it energetically. I know it. We can heal everything with just allowing our body the time to detox itself and heal itself. So it's not so worried about digesting all the food, because no matter what we intake, unfortunately, there's a lot of toxins in it. It's just the world we live in right now. So even the apples have been sprayed. They have pesticides. Even the organic apples, they have stuff too. We have to give our body time to detox that out. versus putting more and more and more food in. It's getting so weighed down. It can't do its scan because your body scans itself, and it scans for cancer, and it scans for disease, and it scans for illness. But if it's so busy trying to detox all the poisons that we're putting in all the time, and the moment we walk outside and we smell the air from all the cars and the pollution, that's enough detoxing your body's having to do. So we have to give it time to heal itself.
Right. I had a conversation with a friend years ago. This was when I first moved to Park City, and he said, because of all the toxins I've been exposed to and all the alcohol and all that stuff he's done to his body, he goes, it's not when I get cancer. It's not if I get cancer, it's when I get cancer. But
if he started fasting now, he could potentially reverse that.
Well, he got cancer just a couple of years after that because he manifested it for himself.
Yeah,
right?
like when you say that, then you're manifesting.
Right. Exactly. Right. The same thing as like, oh, my grandfather and my dad both had, heart attacks, and I'm going to have a heart attack too. And oh, by the way, here's my double bacon cheeseburger with a double order of fries with cheese and chili on them. Right. And it's like, yeah, well, you're
numbered there, sir.
Right. But anyway, I learned a lot from that experience of fasting for 21 days. Now, I had done with my wife prior to that, we had both done the master cleanse twice, right? Which is a lemonade cleanse where you got your maple syrup and lemonade or lemon juice and water and cayenne pepper, right? And just recently, right when I was starting this live show just about 6 weeks ago, I had a really major breakout on my face, like eczema over both of my eyes. And I had this other infection. I don't even know what it was, but like my pineal gland, my third eye was coming out. I mean, it was like this whole crazy thing was going on. And so this is emerging as a ninth pillar that I'm going to do research on, which is going to be detoxing. But what I did to cure that was actually my wife said you should fast. And I was like, I don't know if I can do that. I'm mentally not in the space to fast right now. I did research and I did 28 coffee enemas in 29 days. Right?
Wow. I've never done that before.
Yeah. And so I don't want to get into that. We're talking about putting food in, right? I don't want to get into that because there is going to be another upcoming show.
I'm curious about it though, but
yeah,
when you fast, your body naturally releases all of that. So you actually don't have to. You could have just stopped eating versus that, but.
Well, I didn't think stop eating would be the problem. Because I've intermittent fast every day. I didn't think I could eat my way out of it, right?
Yeah,
so I needed to do something different.
Fasts. Right. 21 to a 40 day, your entire body will be. So maybe it's easier to stop to do the coffee enema this night.
But the coffee enema does something different, right? Because our blood is cleansed. Every drop of blood is cleansed every 3 minutes by our liver, right?
Wow.
And when you do a coffee enema, and just say you hold that in, you're holding that coffee solution in your body for 9 minutes. That's 3 cleaning of your blood in that time. And you're stimulating your liver in a way that it will actually increase the glutathione production by 300 to 600%. And glutathione is the number one antioxidant that our body has, right? It's even hard to ingest it like through a capsule because not every version of it will make it through your stomach to make it to your gut and into your body. So if you get your body to produce it in a certain way, you're just giving yourself this super dose of antioxidants that your body's naturally producing, right? So you're stimulating your liver and you're clearing out all these things, and you're not retoxifying yourself because your body's actually like absorbing toxins that are sitting in your stool as it's sitting in your body. So you're cleaning yourself out in a lot of different ways. And so, I'm so excited to. So before we wrap this up, because we're hitting the hour mark right now, tell me about your show. Unless you got anything else to add to fasting real quick?
No, but you're right. I'm going to tell you about my show. You're right. I want to hear all about your fat. I love what you're doing too. So it's been so nice to get to know you, but I pulled this card for you. So my show, so I have 2 shows. On Mondays, we talk metaphysics. So vibrations, and we just talk about the metaphysics, mindfulness, living in the 5-dimensional world. And I also do some personal readings at the end. And then Wednesday show with Joseph, he's an amazing medium. And since I hang out with him now, I have some skills in this way. So now that's a new thing. It's interesting. So we do readings for the whole hour and a half there, and people love it. You can come on and check in. But let me tell you, because I had a card that pulled for you, and I wanted to read it for you. Real quick.
Okay, do it. I was going to ask you to do this. We're so connected. It's really wild, but I was going to ask you to do that.
Well, I pulled a couple for you. So, but this one is about you specifically. It says you are reliable and savvy. You're enterprising and you're supportive. You're a charismatic character, a business leader, a financial advisor, a practical and stabilizing force, resolute and unshakable, the Midas touch, competent, no nonsense approach, and you have a responsible attitude. It says this is one happy king. He's made a success of something, reached the top, has no hangups, complexes, and has the uncanny ability to be one step ahead of the game. The King of Pentacles represents enterprising and reliable personality, someone who knows what's best for themselves and others and knows how to wheel and deal. It has an instinct of how things work. Is reliable as the Rock of Gibraltar. This is a king we'd all like to know. Someone that you're going to work with and that will inspire these qualities in you.
Wow. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And yeah, we're going to be friends. And yeah, it said that too.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, the best place to find you is on Facebook, which I have, right? It's Kristen Owsley, right? On Facebook.
Yes, find me on Facebook. Yes, and I have an email, but Facebook is the best way to get a hold of me right now.
Right. There's so many people who are using Facebook Messenger these days, right? And so that's probably, and you and I even communicated a lot through that here leading up to the show and those things. Well, do you have, I'm blown away by the reading, right? Thank you so much, right?
I pulled right for you. I didn't know it was going to pull for you. To be honest, I was just pulling our energy for the show and just seeing what happens. And that's what it pulled. And I said, that's beautiful. I have to share that with him.
Yeah. I just want to thank you so much. I just want to say one thing. And the reason that there's two reasons why this is called Modern Longevitarian. One is what you've really been talking about. We live in a different world than what we ever have lived in before. The blue zones. Do you know what blue zones are?
No.
Blue zones are, there's a book written, Dan Buettner wrote this book. It was a joint study with National Geographic. And hi, Julie from upstate New York. Thanks for joining in for us. We're a little overtime on the show here, so just stay with us, right? So blue zones are areas in the world that have the highest concentration of people who are over 100 years old, right? There's 5 in the world. One's in Okinawa, Japan. One's in a small island on Greece, Sardinia, Italy, Costa Rica, and then the only one in the U.S. is where the Seventh-day Adventist Church is, and they're all vegetarians, and it's called Loma Linda, California, right?
They eat herbs, don't they? They are herb eaters.
I will say this. All 5 of the blue zones, the commonality, and what they did is they put together this thing called the Power 9, and their diets, all what they call a plant slant, 90% plant-based or more, right? Mm-hmm. Like even the original Mediterranean diet, which, you would think Sardinia would eat this, or the people in Greece eat this Mediterranean diet. They only ate red meat 8 times a year.
Well, yes, I know that to be real.
Right.
For our body.
And so what happens is, let's say somebody's 100 years old today. They were born in 1920, right? There was no genetically modified food that we know of. There weren't chemicals like glyphosate sprayed on the food. There was no genetically modified pollen floating through the air over to an organic orchard, or like the apple you said, right? Probably wax wasn't sprayed on the apples that we would eat if we don't clean them, and there wasn't the level of toxins in our ocean for the seafood and mercury and plastics and that type of things, right? Farming we didn't have factory farming and those type of things. So the food they were eating and the amount of chemical and toxin intake that they had may have been higher. They had leaded gas and lead in their paint, but they didn't have stuff like that in their food, right? And so a child that's born today, or like my son who's 18 or my daughter who's 13, they've grown up in a toxic world. They have more toxins in them when they're born than somebody that is maybe 100 today or 100 when they were born.
And our Wi-Fi, we don't know what that's doing.
Wi-Fi, we can 5G, all those things. So modern longevitarian, so a longevitarian that lives in this modern world, right, is really it. And also the second reason is because when I came up with this term longevitarian 8 years ago, when I was losing the 40 pounds at age 40, longevitarian.com was already taken. So I had to come up with a way of capturing that. So
I love the name because it reminds me of vegetarian. It's got like some vitamins in there. It's got longevity. It's got vegetarian. Like I
Right.
love it. I love it.
Yeah. So that's how I explain it to people, right? People actually kind of struggle with pronouncing it a lot of times. And I'm like, well, imagine like longevity and tarian, right? Or think of vegetarian, right? It is so there's, you could also throw out totalitarian, right? There's hundreds of words that end in tarian. And now even Steve Weber, our friend, he actually was the first person that called it modern longevitarianism. And I'm like, oh, I'm starting an ism now. It's like,
we got them going.
Yeah. And so that was a next level mindset thing for me. And so back when I said there's two reasons, right, is that it's about, not only, and it really started for me with, because my parents got cancer in their 50s. My dad had to go through chemo and surgery at 55. And my mom, the same thing. And she had uterine cancer and had to have a hysterectomy in her mid 50s because she had cancer. And so for me, I'm like, I wanted to move that out to 85 or 95 before any of those things happened to me. So it really is about a health span is where it started from. Right. And also when I was losing weight at age 40, people kept asking me, and they were so keyed in on my diet and the fact that I was fasting and the fact they could never do it. I said, I'm not a vegetarian. I'm a longevitarian. And it came to me in that moment. And I've owned Modern Longevitarian for 8.5 years and never built a website until this pandemic. And I decided to pivot. Right. With that.
The pandemic came and it was just, it's time now. You know,
it's time.
It's time. It's all time. We're kind of being called to arms. Like whatever you thought, whatever you've had in your mind, all of us, we got to come and start lightening up the planet. The planet needs us right now. It doesn't need you in the restaurant industry right now. It needs you doing what you're doing right now.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. And I'm reading a book, and basically it says that your business is your calling. Right. All the years of the same thing for you, right? What you're doing, your new talents of being a medium that you didn't know you had, and that are new, and you're reading people and those things. The world needs that from you, right?
Yes.
And we're all assembling our tribes and those type of things. So I'm going to definitely tune into your show, your next show that you're on. And so when is it? You said Mondays you do metaphysical and do readings?
Yeah, Mondays are the metaphysical topics. That's Wednesdays. Yes, we're just going to do back-to-back readings for 2 hours, but the metaphysical topics really gets into the metaphysics. It's really like some high level. How do we move to the next level? How do we really create peace on earth? How can we really do that for real?
That's awesome. Well, we're 8 minutes over the hour. Go ahead.
I have an 18-year-old son and a 12-year-old daughter.
Wow.
I know. So we're in alignment there too.
Yeah,
and
we are.
In North Carolina, we go up there a few times a year. So.
Yeah, I'm from. I haven't lived in South Carolina.
You're in Utah now, right?
Yeah, Park City, Utah. We live at 7,000 feet in the Rocky Mountains, and we've had this. We moved here from the Caribbean. Actually, lived on St. Croix.
Oh my God, that's amazing! I want to hear all about that too. So you'll have to come on my show so we can talk about all this a little more.
I'll be happy to, and we can have you back soon. I haven't had a repeat guest yet, but you may be the first one that I have on as a repeat, right? So
thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. So I'm gonna wrap this up here, and we'll catch up.
We'll pick a date. I'll send you a date, and then you'll come on my show, and we'll talk about all sorts of fun stuff.
Oh, that sounds great. All right. So again, this is Modern Longevitarian. We had our guest on today, Kristen Owsley. She has a show on Monday nights. You can find her on Facebook, and you can learn all about the metaphysical pieces of this. And we didn't even get into forgiveness. We didn't really get into tapping into the source. We only talked about gratitude.
Some good stuff today, man. This is a good show. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too. It's great, right? And so I'm just going to wrap this up here. And thanks, Julie, for tuning in.
Hi, Julie. Hi.
And I hope everybody got a great night's sleep last night, because I did that show yesterday on how to get your best night's sleep, or the sleep of your dreams. So you can go to my website, which go to this to get the book, right? So it's strongforlonger.com, which will take you straight to Modern Longevitarian. And it'll have a pop-up, and you can download that book, because sleep is by far the most important pillar of your health. And then right after that is your mindset, which we really talked about that today with your gratitude. So thanks for tuning in. And if today is your Friday, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Cheers.
right.